Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the session. We are starting off with track B, which will speak about security and digital trust model for the hybrid and multi-cloud era. Just to quickly introduce myself once again, my name is Uzair Mujtaba, and I am managing the IT research program for Saudi Arabia with IDC, and I will be moderating this session for you today. We are delighted to have more than 50 delegates already live in this session with us today. And before we begin the session, we have an opening raffle draw in the form of an e-gift voucher. The name will be picked from the attendees logged into the session by our randomizer and will be announced in the Q&A panel. And the winner will receive the e-gift voucher via an email after the webinar is over. So congratulations to the winner in advance. So I would now like to introduce our panelists for today who will be joining me in this track session. Please join me in welcoming Hazem Sandouka, Chief Operations Officer for Virtual Vision, and Muhammad Al-Wahidi, Senior Systems Engineer at Juniper Networks. A very warm welcome to you, gentlemen. But before we get into the discussion, I would like to share some insights that we have been able to uncover around cloud in the past few weeks in Saudi Arabia. I would also like to encourage all the attendees to post your questions at any time during the live sessions in the Q&A widget that you see at the bottom of your screen. And do post your questions and stand a chance to win e-gift vouchers. So the current COVID situation has led to a change in some priorities for business and technology leaders alike, and the focus has significantly shifted towards the new areas in technology. And as a result, our survey on the impact of COVID on public cloud services, majority of CIOs will spend significantly more on cloud, and we expect significant uptake for cloud services in select areas, both from a SaaS as well as IaaS perspective. In software as a service, we see a profound shift from on-premise software deployments to online consumption in a public cloud model. And as a result, workloads that will help businesses mitigate the impact of COVID due to remote work and movement restrictions will be high in demand. Infrastructure as a service, on the other hand, will carry its own trends. Certain challenges, such as global supply chain shortcomings, have negatively impacted on-premise infrastructure integration projects, and these contribute to a major portion of IT spending in Saudi Arabia, as the infrastructure components needed to build these solutions are short in supply. So this is a clear indication that acceleration towards cloud has increased. And in addition to endpoints moving from the office to the employees' homes, we see several organizations have also implemented bring your own device policies. And since adherence has traditionally been a challenge, security concerns are expected to further heighten as we go. So some of the key ongoing trends related to the cloud market that have had a profound impact on business and technology priorities of CIOs. And we believe in the short term, these CIOs will be more focused on becoming more flexible and agile, secure and resilient by investing in remotely consuming IT, such as cloud. Enterprise IT resources are also increasingly being accessed from remote connections. And as a result, spending on multi-factor authentication is also expected to increase. Due to remote work, increased work on personal devices has also gone up, and we believe it will have an impact on the network security spending as well. And finally, data governance and protection will also gain importance as CISOs are looking at revamping organizational policies and communicating that to the employees. The chart on the right is our pre-COVID CIO survey. However, the current trends brought about by this COVID outbreak will have a profound impact on CIO's attitude towards cloud. What's interesting to see is that 21% of CIOs currently follow a cloud-first approach before the outbreak. Most CIOs used to consider cloud as a good to have option. However, we see that due to the current situation, the CIO sentiment will move from other categories to the cloud first category. With this, I would like to take the discussion forward and welcome back our panelists to the mic. So let's move on to some questions. So my first question goes out to you, Hazem. Before we start, thank you so much for joining us in this panel discussion today. Your insights are most valuable to us. And just to begin with this question, that is, why is it important to adopt cloud even if we're concerned about security? And if there are concerns around cybersecurity, why do you think cloud adoption is increasing?
Well, thank you, Uzair, for having me today, and thank you, Mohammed, for joining me. But to answer your question, I think at this point, I think we're all aware what the benefits of cloud are in terms of operational efficiency and cost savings. But today, the situation has changed a lot, especially in terms of global security and the global challenges, especially with the pandemic. So we can look at cloud as important and the adoption of cloud important from two different perspectives. On the short term, it provides a lot of flexibility, especially in the current global challenges. And on the long term, the truth of the matter is the future of any business is the data that it has, and the data that it's accumulated from its customers through interactions and touch points. And I'm sure everyone at this point has heard some variation of this, be it Industrial Revolution 4.0, digital transformation. And what cloud really kind of brings into this thing is this ability to rapidly adopt these solutions within the cloud. So it's really kind of like a short-term and a long-term thing that's pushing both of these things. And there are other reasons that it's accelerating. Now, with the global pandemic, your employees are no longer in the office. They're spread out. They have different devices. They have different challenges in connecting and having access to that information. And what cloud really kind of decreases the threshold for you to adopt these things. And not only that, the CSPs, which are the cloud solution providers, they're becoming more proactive in helping companies meet regulatory compliance, providing additional security services. So essentially, instead of flying blind, cloud solution providers are trying to help their customers understand the security landscape. And then finally, one thing that we're seeing that's improving adoption, accelerating adoption, is that a lot of governments are kind of finally coming around and creating the proper regulatory frameworks for their customers. So not just basing everything on some industry standard. They've created the frameworks, albeit it's kind of horizontal in their approach right now. Hopefully they become more vertical. But the trick is that they've kind of taken a proactive step in helping accelerate this adoption.
Thanks, Hazem. Very valid point made there. I would like to move the discussion towards Mohammed now. And I would like to ask you about network and endpoint security, especially in context of digital transformation. And we know that in this era of digital transformation, a lot is being done, especially with the move to cloud. But what, according to you, can organizations do to protect the network all the way from the endpoint to the edge and everything in between?
Hi, Uzair. Hi, Hazem. Okay. In general, the most effective way to stop any threat is to convert it as quickly as possible from an unknown to non-threat, and then a widely known threat. In this way, we can stop any threat, and this can be done rapidly through the automation. Obviously, organizations are overwhelmed by today's threats, and data centers are complex, virtualized, and distributed across multiple geographies. Even before you can start to make plans to migrate to the cloud. Having this in mind, I believe adopting the right architecture like Zero Trust, along with augmenting security solutions with an automated threat intelligence that can quickly identify anomalous behavior and automatically create countermeasures before damage is done. Ultimately, organizations need to extend their security monitoring and detection enforcement to all points of connection across the public, private, and even the multi-cloud that eventually will safeguard the users, applications, and infrastructure.
Great input, Mohammed, and I think it makes complete sense. And this is a testament that business as well as technology priorities for business and technology leaders are changing quite rapidly. So, Hazem, my follow-up question to you in this regard is that, in addition to remaining focused on maintaining cybersecurity, what should be the other top priorities for any organization in context of cloud deployments within this COVID pandemic scenario?
So there's a lot of considerations that need to take place, but I would like to highlight the top two, in my opinion, that everyone should really focus on. The first one is identity management, and really what it comes down to it is achieving borderless identity management. A lot of companies are very good at providing identity management within the confines of their offices, but now the situation is changing. Now enterprises have to ensure that their identity management works across on-premise, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS solutions. So for example, a company today could have its CRM from Salesforce, it could have its ERP from Microsoft, and its own applications deployed on an IaaS cloud. Now, that as an example, combined with a mobile workforce, presents a very critical task on an organization to maintain and control access to these solutions and products, regardless of where they exist. The second thing that I would like to highlight is that once you've kind of controlled access to your environment, to your organization, you really have to figure out a way how to control access to the data within your organization and really provide a governance framework on how all these interactions are managed. Today organizations are becoming very data rich, and that data is very valuable and confidential. And ensuring the right people within the organization have the correct access needs to be a priority. Cloud solutions provide a lot of quick, powerful capabilities, but people forget the data still needs to be managed.
Of course, thanks for sharing these insights, and I think the audience can relate to that, quite closely. And at the same time, we're also seeing automation is quickly coming to the fore. So, Mohammed, can you share some insights about, especially in terms of automating security, what are the unique benefits related to cybersecurity that organizations can achieve by adopting automation?
Yeah, okay, good question. Obviously, automation drives a significant benefit, and automating security, protection, detection, and response is the future and the tool that would give us the position ahead of the cyber criminal. Moreover, AI will give us the power of predicting the future move of cyber attack, and this is really a game changer. Let me tell you, I have read a report released in 2018, I do believe, about the data breaches by Verizon. The report says 87% of data breaches accomplished within minutes. Do you believe that? My question here, how organizations should stop such attacks within this tiny time frame, keeping in mind the complexity of multi-vendor security tools, multi-consoles, skills, and different human opinions. And this is, you will find it when you go over a SOC process, when you have a different analysis. As a Juniper network with the power of automation and machine learning, Juniper brings next generation firewalls, threat-aware infrastructure, advanced threat detection, automated incident response, and flexible deployment model together with our Juniper connected security. So organizations can detect threats and automatically enforce security policy with a zero human intervention throughout on-prem, cloud, and even multi-cloud environment.
Absolutely makes sense. And, cybersecurity has kind of always been a challenge, a pain. And we've seen that automation is being leveraged to make security more robust, predictive, and all-encompassing in nature. And, we kind of say that if you hate it, automate it. So I think we'll leave that with that thought.
Yeah.
But it's great to see that a lot of questions have already started to come in from the audience. So I'm going to pick this one. I think it's very relevant in terms of cloud and security put in context together. And Hazem, I would like you to respond to this. And Mohammed, later I would reach out to you as well to get your opinion. So the question is, how can organizations control costs generated by cybersecurity requirements as they adopt cloud? Hazem?
I think the best approach to this is to understand that today, especially in the world of cloud, that there are new options to cybersecurity that we simply just didn't have access to before. And not everything has to be managed in-house. Organizations should start looking at ways beyond the traditional physical security perimeter and start leveraging these new methods of delivering on security. The first is the security solutions provided by your existing cloud solution providers. So today, the majority of these cloud solution providers have their own solutions embedded, and they deliver these capabilities at scale, providing cost efficiencies for your own organizations. And these core security capabilities augment some of the traditional requirements that you would find at almost every single organization. So they tend to be universal in nature, but are very critical. The second is another method to maintain costs is getting security as a service from companies that deliver these also at scale, but they tend to be more focused on specific functions. And when you combine both of these approaches, a little bit of your own security, their security, cloud solution provider security products, and security as a service products, it allows you to quickly scale depending on your demand. So today, if you're experiencing a decrease in business, you can reduce those security based on what you have today. And as business increases, you can increase your security requirements dynamically because you're leveraging both cloud solution providers and security as a service providers.
Absolutely. And I think it takes the conversation back to automation based on AI and machine learning that Mohammed spoke about earlier. So, have you seen automation of security being a widespread trend in Saudi Arabia? How do you see it evolving in the next 6 to 8 months at least? Hazem?
So when it comes to automation, one of the things that what we have seen is that, as you said earlier, that if you're kind of getting tired of it, just automate it, correct? And what would the primary goal would be is to ensure that not only are you automating these solutions within your own environment, you're extending this automation further into the other clouds. And as you're trying to coordinate all these endpoints and all these solutions into a singular location, that's where automation can really benefit you going further.
Fantastic. Thanks for that input. And Mohammed, I would like to, get your opinion on this, especially in terms of rationalizing cybersecurity spending when your customers are adopting cloud. So can you share a little bit about that?
Okay, of course, Elzer. Adding to the great answer of my colleague Hazem, in the past, as a technology vendor, we were the cause of overcost in any digital organization. This was in the past. Today, with the revolution of virtualization and cloud computing, big technology vendors, they are in a competition to show how they can provide premium services with a high return of investment which I believe is a goal of your question. Okay, back to your question. In a nutshell, I believe the cost consideration is subjective. We have three areas of cost enhancement. First, we have the CapEx optimization, which should be in the past. We have the OpEx reduction, which should be the current. And we have ultimately in the future how we can have a return of investment improvement. This is the three areas it needs to be considered when you focus on the cost, how to enhance the spending. Till today, the idea of moving to the cloud is debatable, despite of the discussion of security or trust challenges. Obviously, the natural revolution of on-prem data center is the cloud-enabled data center. And wherever the services is located, the security is engaged. I see cyber threat landscape is same, regardless on cloud or on-prem. The idea here, managing the cost of the technology, either on the on-prem or on the cloud. There is a great research called Step into the Cloud or Stop with the Virtualization that discussed in the 9th World Engineering Education Forum, which called WEEF at 2019. The research was great, and the research did a detailed calculation of underlying cost over 5 years of using on-prem virtualization and the evolved model of cloud data center. The research conclusion was whenever the number of workloads is high and multiple data center or multiple disaster recovery sites are in place, which is the case here with the most of our enterprise customers, the cloud is the solution for greater return of investment and reduction of total cost of ownership. I encourage you to go over that research. It's great with a lot of calculations. Nonetheless, pay-as-you-go business model for security devices is an example of upfront CapEx reduction, and there is many examples how the cloud can help the organization to, let's just say, align the investment with the business outcome.
Absolutely apt points, and I think it makes complete sense in the current situation where budgets are getting tighter, and organizations are rapidly moving towards spending optimization. But continuing on the same lines, Mohammed, my next question to you is around the work from home policies in the current COVID-19 situation. So we know majority of organizations have already established these policies of remote work. So keeping in mind the human and cyber risk, how is Juniper helping their customers stay secure, whether they're working from home or returning to the office?
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, overnight, due to COVID-19, the attack surface exponentially is expanded and create significant opportunities for hackers. As you said, many organizations are trying to figure out how to get their workforce back to offices or make home workers more productive, or the homework is more efficient. However, setting the guidelines for who enter a workplace and team gathering on-site could be vulnerable. And this is what every company they go over by setting the guidelines. But there is a vulnerability in this model or in this strategy, let's say. Let me take an example. If someone has identified himself as a positive, or he's exhibiting some symptoms after a business day in the office, think of it. In such case, the organization needs to answer difficult questions to contain the situation. With whom did he recently come in contact with? What area within the offices did he visit? And most importantly, how they could avoid such cases in the future. Fortunately, this is where Juniper contact tracing solution can help. By leveraging AI-driven Wi-Fi and patent technology called VPLE, the system can identify who are the persons came in contact with and what areas of the facility the person visited. In addition, proactively alert people in real time that they may be heading toward a congested area or violating the distance policy. This is a great technology. It helped a lot for all the organization. Now about the second scenario. This is when the first scenario, it is for the organization that they are looking to go over the offices or reopen the offices. We have the contact tracing solution. For the second scenario, that for home workers, how to make home workers more productive by using organization resources in secure manner. This is a question need to be answered. In Juniper, with the AI-driven Wi-Fi solution, simply we enable organizations to securely extend corporate SSIDs and AAA services to home workers. So, auxiliary devices such as VoIP, phones, printers will work perfectly like you are in the office. And sure, the security is on top of that solution and the simplicity.
Thank you very much for sharing those inputs with us. And I think, Hazem, this really begs the question, whose responsibility is it to maintain security when customers are adopting the cloud at an accelerated pace?
I believe that there is a shared responsibility model that has to be taken into consideration. And it really is sort of the best approach for securing any customer's data. And shared responsibility is a realization that no individual organization is responsible for securing the data. And when you start utilizing a cloud solution provider's security solutions or using security as a service, that is a great example of a shared responsibility model. And leveraging these models allows for a very efficient adoption of security and at the same time securing everything. But it is the fundamental thought process behind this is that there is no one organization now that is responsible, and that everyone is responsible for this. Even as a cloud solution provider and you have customers within your cloud, you really have to kind of take it a step further and not only provide cloud solutions to a customer, but ensure that they are secured on their behalf and they comply with all the regulations and the standards of that customer, region, country, government, et cetera, et cetera. And with shared responsibility, what allows that is everyone has a stake in making sure that the customer is secure, providing that everyone and provides efficiencies across the whole board. And if a cloud solution provider is proactive and advises the customers on how to secure their data and provide solutions for that securing their data, that's when we have a shared responsibility model. And I think customers should demand from cloud solution providers that they take responsibility for their security also. Absolutely,
Hazem, your thinking is spot on. And thank you so much, gentlemen, for your responses so far. But in the interest of time, we have time just for one more question, and I'm going to pick this up from a list of questions that are coming out from the audience. So, Mohammed, let me start off with you. The question is, why are enterprises beginning to embrace a zero trust model for creating a defensible cybersecurity strategy? And could you also tell us a little bit about the misconceptions that hampered the zero trust model efforts in the past and that are not reflective of today's reality?
Okay, good question and long answer. Okay, I'll be quick. Over past years, there is a major change in the technology toward virtualization, cloud computing, mobility, and data analytics. And yesterday's security model, which was a perimeter-centric or defense in depth, couldn't survive in meeting up the dynamic requirements of today's emerging technology. So, Zero Trust is proposed as the best fit for today's challenges, and the model considers all network as untrusted and any traffic need to be verified. Over years, as you may know, Zero Trust architecture is launched by Forrester in 2009 and Git evolved in 2018 by Zero Trust Extended that will add more details in terms of data, people, workloads, network, and devices, which are more designed to fit to a cloud deployment, which is the future. Nevertheless, many decent security models build up on the Zero Trust model like Beyond Corp and Beyond Prod, which are initiated and adopted by Google, which confirm that the Zero Trust is the right model for today. And about the misconceptions with the Zero Trust architecture, let me start with the fact. The cybersecurity function is not an on-off button or a security to buy. Okay, it is a continuous process, 24/7, 365 days a year. Likewise, Zero Trust architecture, it's not a project, this is one of the main misconceptions. It's not a project, it is a journey that needs people, processes, and technology to work together in order to have it successfully implemented. So over years, there were some misconceptions like moving to the Zero Trust is expensive, the microsegmentation is complex to be realistic, it should be implemented with the greenfield, or it's designed for on-prem, not for the cloud. You should go over one single vendors. Apparently, all these points are not true. So as I mentioned before, organizations need to streamline people, processes, and most importantly, the capable technology vendor to partner with over this journey. As a Juniper network, I can say that our connected security uniquely positioned to help organizations to step-by-step deploy Zero Trust architecture in local and definitely multi-cloud environment by a set of technologies and methodologies that empower by machine learning and automation.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for that great insight. And Hazem, before we close, would you quickly like to share your take on that?
Adding to the valuable information that my colleague provided, I think what everyone needs to kind of understand is that Zero Trust really represents the evolution of security models that enterprises have adopted in the previous years. And I think a lot of organizations need to take this more seriously. You know, the reality is that the perimeter security that we mentioned earlier, be it physical or virtual, just can't keep up with the demands of an enterprise today. Today, data is being spread across multiple cloud vendors, and not only that, it's being spread out across multiple devices. Today, a mobile phone can hold as much data as a PC did a few years ago, and you can do all the functionality from it the same way you could do from a PC. So it's becoming more critical to secure access to this data since it is no longer behind your perimeter protections. So Zero Trust is not just a single product, but really an approach that assumes that an attacker can come from anywhere and any place and establishes a security model in accordance. It really is a combination of technology, processes, and people to essentially create this shield to protect your organization from attacks. And this is why we see Zero Trust as one of those critical components of future technology.
Thank you so much, Hazem, for that response. And thank you, gentlemen, for such an insightful discussion and sharing your opinion with us today. It was a pleasure having you with us in the webinar, and we look forward to having you with us again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hazem.
I would also like to thank the attendees that have been with us so far in our sessions, and I request you to please take some time and rate this session and tell us what you think about it, as your feedback is really important for us. So while our audience rates the session, and before we conclude the day for today, I'm happy to announce the final raffle draw. 100 lucky delegates that have stayed with us throughout the webinar will be rewarded with an e-gift voucher, and the winners will be selected by our randomizer, and the IDC team will send an email to the winners with the exclusive e-gift voucher. Congratulations to the winners in advance. We also have received an overwhelming response for our webinars that we are hosting these days, and I take this opportunity to introduce you to the next IDC webinar titled Sustaining Business Continuity with Digital Resilience. This webinar is scheduled to take place on the July 8th, that's a Wednesday, and we will be covering topics like relationship between IT resilience and business continuity, sustaining customer service and enhancing experience in the current crisis, ensuring the workforce remains productive while working from remote locations, and even ensuring business continuity, especially in context of e-signatures and digital identities. And there are many more track sessions also that will be focusing on specific industry verticals. And if you wish to attend the webinar, please click on the option and the IDC team members will contact you with further details. Finally, I would also like to request all the attendees to complete the survey link that is popped up on the screen through the survey widget. Your feedback really helps us to know what your takeaways from today's webinar were, and we would also like to know any suggestions and improvements that you would like us to implement in the upcoming webinars. With that, I thank you once again for joining us today. Hope you made the best of today's session. We wish you all the luck. Please stay safe. Assalamu alaikum.